corporal punishment has been used as a method of discipline for children in schools and homes. The American Academy of Pediatrics defines corporal punishment as a method of discipline in which parents, teachers, and other guardians use physical force to correct a child's behavior. Some methods of punishment include hitting, slapping, spanking, or forcing a child into an uncomfortable position. Corporal punishment has been banned since the 1990s in most states, but it is still allowed in private schools in most states. According to the World Health Organization, corporal punishment is highly prevalent globally, with only a small portion of all countries worldwide that have banned the practice. The assigned article by Jorge Cuartas is a correlational study that focuses on the relationship between corporal punishment and children's development in low and middle income countries. The study collected data from 69 surveys across 49 low and middle income countries that involved 131,164 children. Surveys were executed in extreme detail, focusing on certain information surrounding the child and caretakers, as well as focusing on country-based data to determine which countries used in the study were more accepting of corporal punishment. The study showed that children who experience corporal punishment are less likely to properly develop social, emotional skills, as well as children who do not experience corporal punishment. Results of the survey showed that children who experience corporal punishment were 24 to 38% less likely to be developmentally on track compared to children who do not experience corporal punishment. The results also revealed that children still process corporal punishment as threatening, regardless of culture, and physical harm still causes them distress, no matter how normal it may be to them. Cuartas argues that more efforts are needed to protect children from violent forms of discipline worldwide. The peer-reviewed article by Eleanor Campbell relates to the assigned article by stating that most forms of corporal punishment align with the definition of child abuse. Campbell argues that it is possible to protect children in certain cultures that are accepting of corporal punishment from child abuse while helping them maintain tradition. The article states that even though corporal punishment is normal in some cultures over others, it is still harmful and causes emotional distress in children. Campbell uses statistics to show that there is a higher percentage of child abuse victims among certain minorities, and it is important to advocate for reconstructing forms of discipline into nonviolent methods. The article provides information about the fact that some cultures and religious groups may be accepting of corporal punishment due to the way they were disciplined as children, which cause them to believe it is important to do the same to respect traditional societal rules and values. Campbell argues that by putting in the effort to understand the effects of corporal punishment, doing so can convince more people to advocate for protecting the development and well-being of children who experience it. By educating people and gathering a higher advocacy group, Campbell says that health workers can help more diverse groups by helping families maintain their cultural traditions and practices while making sure children in these populations are protected from child abuse. In summary, both articles show the impact of corporal punishment on children's social emotional development in low and middle income countries. In the assigned article, Cuartas argues that the results of his study also relate to other studies in high-income countries, supporting the idea that corporal punishment is universally harmful to children. Both articles argued that corporal punishment is considered abuse even if the child sees it as normal. In the second article, Campbell argues that it is important to protect the well-being of children while helping families maintain their cultural identities. Corporal punishment is still psychologically harmful for children, regardless of culture, religion, and socioeconomic status. It is important for society to recognize its psychological impact on children so that we can protect the well-being of our future generation, regardless of cultural context, but with consideration of cultural identity and tradition. Campbell's consideration of maintaining tradition within certain cultures while prioritizing children's safety shows the importance of being considerate of social-emotional development for a healthy future generation. By recognizing the impact of corporal punishment on children, more people can advocate and promote a more nonviolent environment for all children across the globe to ensure appropriate development.
Okay.
Brittany.
Okay, hi Brittany. Do you think corporal punishment is an effective way to discipline children? Why or why not?
No, I don't. I don't because I believe that, hitting your kids, and I think of it as a form of abuse. And then it's something that goes and goes and goes through each generation of life. I think that there's so many other different ways to discipline, whether it be taking things away or, just a lot of things.
Have you experienced corporal punishment? If so, do you think it shaped your view on discipline positively or negatively, and why?
I'd say a little bit, but not enough to really shape it, but I have seen it in a lot of other people.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alright, today we're talking about the topic of corporal punishment on adolescents. Here we have a question for you stating, are you familiar with what corporal punishment is?
No.
Well, the use of physical force to correct a child's behavior, whether it's spanking or hitting, if you think that's okay with you, or like gentle parenting side. For our first question, we will be stating, do you think corporal punishment is an effective way to discipline children? Why or why not?
I would say no, just because it can affect the child mentally, especially like if they're really, really young. Like it'll leave a mark like for the rest of their life, and yeah, I just think that it'll just affect them negatively mentally, and they just won't have. Maybe it'll affect their confidence and everything. So.
And for the second question, it will be, what effects do you think corporal punishment has on a child's emotional and psychological development? I know you stated that in the answer.
Yeah.
Anything other in depth or without?
I think that it would definitely affect their confidence, and it would just probably make them more just integrated to themselves. They may not be as socially available for other people. That's it.
For our third question, have you experienced corporal punishment? If so, do you think it shaped your view on discipline positively or negatively?
When I was very young, yes, but as I got older, my parents didn't do that anymore. I think like just because of like the cultural shift and stuff like that, like a lot of parents like just stop doing it. Like when you talk to your friends or whatever, like you see like as you grow up, like my boyfriend and I, like we both like experienced that. Obviously not to the level of like actual child abuse, but like it's affected us in our relationship with our parents, and you might not realize it when you're young and whatever, but like when you get older, like you see the effects of that, and yeah.
Oh, okay. And involving with the culture, in some cultures and religious groups, corporal punishment is more socially acceptable. Do you think corporal punishment should be reinforced in these groups despite corporal punishment being a traditional practice?
I don't think it should be reinforced, just because like I think that there is a better way of correcting children like when they're wrong, and it doesn't have to involve like physical like violence or like threats or whatever.
So, if you don't believe any corporal punishment, do you think there's any alternatives for discipline?
Yeah, I think that there's like, I think what should be more common to do is like be level with your child, or I mean I don't have any children, so like this is like all like hearsay. But yeah, like when I do have children someday, like I would want to like create an environment where they feel like they can express like why that they're angry or why they did what they did, if they did something wrong, and like correct that, and be stern when things are like, okay, you can't like disrespect me, or you can't like do this, and then say why, because a lot of the time like parents would be like, oh, because I said so, but that doesn't really help anything. You have to explain to them in a way that they understand, like this is why the things are the way that they are, like disrespecting your parents or your grandparents or whoever, like things like that.
Okay, thank you so much for your
Yeah,
time. That
of
would be
course.
good questions. Thank you so much. This is, again,
Abigail.
Nice to meet you, Bob.
Same
So
here.
I'm just interviewing people on what they think about corporal punishment. So what do you think about corporal punishment? Do you think this is beneficial for kids? Why or why not?
I think for some kids, it could be beneficial. For others, it could revert them into a more aggressive pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Every child is going to react differently
Right.
to anything. Some kids, when you spank them once and they'll learn their lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Other kids, you spank them and they'll become more aggressive and increase their violent tendency, in my opinion.
Right.
I don't think there's any one set answer that's general for the whole, for everybody.
Okay.
That's, basically my thought on that.
That's great. And have you ever experienced corporal punishment in your life or no?
No, I was a good kid.
No? Okay. That's nice. Yeah.
But we did back when I was in school,
Yeah.
teachers were allowed to kind of hit kids and, and that really put most kids in line.
Yeah.
So, because that was coming from a stranger, which I think holds a little more, more power
Yeah.
than just your parents doing it, in my opinion, because now you're really stepping over a line. So, but they
makes
changed
sense.
all of that anyway now.
And did you experience that yourself with the teachers or no?
I had a teacher, a fourth grade teacher, that was great with the blackboard eraser, which I'm sure kids today don't even know what that is. But she was able to throw it and it would curve around the kid in front of you and hit you in the side of the head. And a lot of times we would act up just to see how good she was, and she was good.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
but she didn't do it really to beat the children.
Right.
She did it to get their attention, and it certainly did that.
Okay.
Especially when you're walking around all day with chalk in your head.
That makes sense. So you think like corporal punishment has some sort of, it really depends on the child, you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
It can either have positive or negative impacts, no?
right. I mean, you would think it would work but nothing works across the board.
Okay.
Every child has to be done differently. Because I've had friends that, everybody grew up in the same way, but some kids reacted differently to certain things. Some kids learn their lessons, some kids continue and test the bounds.
Yeah.
And then by that time it's a little too late. And, so I don't think there's an answer that would, cover all the bases on that.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Thank you so much for
All right.
being able to
Well,
do
I
this.
appreciate the opportunity to give my opinion.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Yeah.